All right, big news we are tracking at DD India News Hour. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh has been assassinated in Iran's Tehran. In a statement, Hamas mourned the death of Haniyeh, who it said was killed in a treacherous Zionist raid on his residence in Tehran. The Revolutionary Guards confirmed that the residence of Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran was struck in the morning, resulting in his and one of his bodyguards' death. Revolutionary Guards said the cause is under investigation and will be announced soon. Hamas officials termed it as a grave escalation, saying the assassination of Haniyeh will not achieve its goals. The Hamas chief attended Iran's new president's swearing-in ceremony on Tuesday. In April this year, Haniyeh's three sons, Hazem, Amir and Mohammed, were killed after the car they were driving in was bombed in Gaza's Al-Shati camp. Two of Haniyeh's grandchildren were also killed in the attack and a third was wounded. Ismail Haniyeh, the Hamas leader who was killed in Iran, was a tough talking face of the Palestinian group's international diplomacy. He was seen by many diplomats as a moderate compared to the more hardline members of the Iran-backed group inside Gaza. Haniyeh was an early advocate of Hamas entering politics. Appointed to the Hamas job in 2017, Haniyeh moved between Turkey and Qatar's capital Doha, escaping and enabling him to act as a negotiator in Gaza ceasefire talks. Three of Haniyeh's sons were killed on April 10th when an Israeli airstrike struck their car. Israel regards the entire Hamas leadership as terrorists and has accused Haniyeh of continuing to pull the strings of the Hamas terror organization. Israel accused Haniyeh's leadership team of helping to divert humanitarian aid to group's military wing. However, Hamas denies it. Haniyeh had met officials in Egypt, which also has a mediation role in the ceasefire talks. He traveled in early November to Tehran to meet Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Ramesh Ramachandra joins us with more. Ramesh, good morning. Now, this is the big news we're tracking on DD India News Hour this time. Get us more details, the latest on this attack. Iran has confirmed that Haniyeh has been killed, but no further details have been given. What more can you add to it?
Right. Good morning, Preeti. Just to put this into context for our viewers, the spectacular assassination of Ismail Haniyeh took place in Iran's capital, Tehran, at about 22:30 or 2300 GMT. That's about 4 a.m. or 4:30 a.m. India time. Spectacular because, like I said, it took place in Iran's capital, Tehran, where Haniyeh was present to attend the inauguration of Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian just a few hours ago. And this, by the way, has been the first of many attempts to assassinate him. Remember, as you just said, Preeti, that his three sons were killed in April. His sister was killed in the month of June, just last month. And his home in Gaza was attacked in November last year. And this, by the way, Preeti, comes just a few hours after the attack on a Hezbollah commander in Lebanon's capital, Beirut. And this assassination took place in Iran's capital, Tehran. By the way, Iran is the common link here because Iran backs, supports, funds both these organizations, Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon. And this also comes a few weeks after Israel raided in southern Gaza to target the Hamas's military chief, Sinwar, who miraculously escaped being captured there. So all in all, this is a spectacular assassination of a Hamas leader right in the heart of Iran, in Iran's capital, Tehran. And that, to my mind, raises two crucial questions. One, what will happen to the ceasefire talks between Israel and Hamas, which is being mediated by the US, Qatar, and Egypt? Number one. Number two, will this escalate the escalation ladder, as it were, and raise tensions in West Asia and foment a wider regional war? It remains to be seen.
All right, Ramesh, what more can you add as to, we know that Israel has not yet taken up the responsibility. No confirmation has come in from that side. But Iran is accusing, Hamas is accusing Israel behind this attack. What more are you picking up on this first?
Right, so on the face of it, Preeti, only two confirmations have come in so far in the last several hours since the assassination took place in Tehran. One from the Hamas organization itself, and the second from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps of Iran, the so-called military wing of the Iranian clerical regime. So confirmations coming in, no doubt, but Israel, as is its habit, has not claimed responsibility yet. But insinuation by Hamas in Iran is that Israel is behind this attack. And that brings me back to my original question, Preeti. Will it escalate tensions in West Asia? How will the region and the world respond to it? And what happens to India's stake in the wider region?
All right, I'll take that forward to our guest. Mr. Atul Aneja is joining us on DD India News Hour. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us this morning. This is indeed a very important, big development that has taken place. Let us get more from you, the initial reactions, what repercussions or what immediate fallout would it witness?
Well, Preeti, as Ramesh has pointed out, this is a mark of a rapid escalation in the conflict which is going on between Israel, Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran. So this will call for a response. I'm not sure whether this is going to be an immediate response for it, but Preeti, the rules of the game have changed. So far, such big leaders at the highest level were not being targeted. But if Israel, as we suppose, is behind this, then that red line has been crossed, that rules have been changed. So which means, even from an Iranian perspective, especially since it has happened in Iran, I don't think the Iranians can keep silent about what has happened with the killing of Haniyeh. So which would mean that they would escalate definitely. What the target would be, whether it would be inside Israel, whether it be, their top people outside, that remains to be seen. But I think a retaliation will come. And if it doesn't come, then it is a big loss of face for Iran, especially, when Haniyeh is killed inside Iran. It's a big loss of face that you won't protect a key asset of yours inside your own country. So I think the ball is now in Iran's court, and it will trigger a response. What exactly, how exactly, what violent form will it take is to be seen in the next hours to come, or even days to come. But I don't see any other option for Iran but to retaliate. So the game has escalated. Now, will that mean that the region gets conflagrated? I think there's a big chance of that. Remember, Preeti, this is happening just after Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, has come back from the US.
Yes.
And I think there has been an understanding with the Biden administration that, after the attack on the football field in the Golan Heights, Israel will not go out for an all-out war or an invasion of Lebanon. But I think the green light seems to have been given to go for the big targets. And I think Haniyeh's assassination follows what has happened between Netanyahu and the Americans.
All right, we'll delve more on this point, sir, but at present, Palestinian President Abbas has strongly condemned Haniyeh's assassination. So we've got more reactions coming in. When we talk of the role of Israel here, no confirmation has so far been seen from Israel, or for that matter, Iran has been accusing Israel. You also talked of the timing of this strike, of this killing. How far does it strengthen, or how far does it change the position of Israel in the whole geopolitical setup? Does this killing make it more strong, in spite of the fact that Hamas has said that it will take revenge and it will it will not solve the purpose with which Haniyeh was killed?
Preeti, right now there have been strong anti-Netanyahu demonstrations going inside Iran. So inside Israel. So, this particular assassination of Haniyeh may see, one thing is about the internal coalition within Israel of hardliners. I think they will cite it as a victory for them. And it will go down well with hardline sections within the Israeli society. So there's a domestic angle to it. But there is also a big risk which Israel is taking because with the new rules of the game coming in, and capabilities which the Iranians have, they did try these missile attacks on Israel. Most of them were down, but some missiles did go through, but they were deliberately stuck at unpopulated areas. So there are options now which comes in. What happens in the Suez Canal? What will the Houthis do in terms of shipping which is going through the Red Sea? All these elements are going to come in. So Israel temporarily, at the face of it, would look strong, and Netanyahu may go down well with the domestic population or a section of it. But I think there are long-term problems which are going to come in, because this is the asymmetry which existed at one time between Israel and the rest of the country, especially Iran. That asymmetry is no longer there. There are capabilities which the Iranians have. Iranians have good ties with the Russians now. The Chinese are in somewhere in the background, so they will not come up front. So the geopolitical equations and the capabilities are no longer what they used to be earlier, when Israel would get away with something like this. So I think it's a major escalation which is taking place, and which is going to have regional repercussions.
Yes, you're talking of regional repercussions, and the situation, the consequences seem to be brewing up. Palestinian factions have called for general strike and mass demonstrations after Hamas chief was killed in Tehran. This is the latest we're picking up. Sir, I would want you to delve more for us. What role does Iran play in this geopolitical situation? Because the US and Israel accuse Tehran of having, hand in the attacks, and Iran at the same time rejects it. At the same time, I would want you to explain to us, what is Tehran's relationship with the Palestinians, and given the way these events unfold, what repercussions or what fallout again it will have on the situation?
Priti, Iran came out as a revolutionary state with the Iranian Revolution in 1979 itself. And thereafter, as it expanded its influence in the region, it was essentially within the Shia world, which would mean the Houthis, for example, are Shias. Nearly half, 40% or more, population of Iraq is Shia. So when the US invasion of Iraq took place, that's where Iran's footprint inside Iraq increased substantially. And then they also simultaneously started reaching out with the Sunni factions. And Hamas comes into that, and most of it comes in Lebanon. In Lebanon, again, the Hezbollah. The Lebanese Hezbollah is Shia, and in fact, the leader of Hezbollah, that is Hassan Nasrallah, actually sees Ayatollah Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, as his leader. I mean, it's completely enmeshed, the Hezbollah and the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guards, and of course, topped by the supreme leader of Iran. But then you also had a tangent now coming in with the Hamas, which the Iranians started developing. You had Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian head of the Al-Quds force, which was the military force operating in Syria and these geographies, who did a lot to bring the Sunni factions, that is Hamas, Muslim Brotherhood, together with the Hezbollah and with a larger Houthi, Iraqi Hezbollah. And all leadership, the fountainhead for that was Iran. So Iran's tentacles have struck very deep in the region now. And that's the reason that what we are taking is happening now is actually the tussle which is going on between Israel and Iran, with various nodes of influence which Iran has developed coming in the firing line. So this is a big game. And that's the reason why, Preeti, we think that there would be a regional fallout, because the Iranians can't keep quiet about it, because so their own credibility is on line, that they can't protect these people. Israelis, on the other hand, have penetrated Iran. And we saw that with the assassination of a number of Iranian nuclear scientists inside Iran.
Yes.
So the nodes of Mossad and Israel are very, very strongly developed, even inside Israel. So this is a monumental seismic level tussle which is going on. And Haniyeh's assassination really falls within this larger ambit of a bigger clash between Israel and the West. And then you have Iran. Iran becomes a member of the BRICS. It has closer relationship with the Russians, with the Chinese. So, it's feeding into a much bigger fallout. So you can actually see the world, two major conflicts, one happening in Ukraine, the other in West Asia. in some way there is also a conflation of the two happening right now, with some common players, with the Israelis and the West on one side, and then you have Iran, Russia, China. It's all coming together in terms of a perfect storm.
All right. Yes, we will continue this conversation. But for our viewers who just joined in, this is the big breaking we are tracking this hour on DD India News Hour. Hamas chief Ismail Haniyeh has been assassinated in Tehran, in Iran. This is the latest, the big news we are getting on DD India News Hour. Haniyeh was assassinated in Tehran, and one of Haniyeh's guard was also killed in the attack. Ismail Haniyeh was present in Tehran to attend the inauguration ceremony of Iranian president, and also the Iran government has termed this attack as a cowardly act that will not go unpunished. Palestine president has strongly condemned Haniyeh's killing. At the same time, Hamas officials term it as a severe escalation. The simmering effects can be seen immediately, with Palestinian factions calling for general strike and mass demonstrations. So this is the latest we're getting for you on the West Asia crisis. Hamas chief Ismail Haniyeh has been assassinated. We are joined in by our correspondent Ramesh Ramachandran. We're also joined in by Mr. Atul Aneja, who are spelling out more details and helping us understand this development better. Ramesh, coming to you. Now, this assassination comes at a precarious time, in the sense because we're talking of Israel's role, we're talking of how, it has affected, it will have a bearing on Iran's credibility as well. But then Israel has previously also carried out assassination attempts on the figures key to Islamic nuclear program, as Sir also spelled out. In 2020, a top military nuclear scientist, Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, was killed by a remote control machine gun while traveling in a car outside Tehran. So, Sir was specifically talking of how Israel has penetrated into Iran, and this is not something new that has come, that we're witnessing today. How have Iran and Israel distanced themselves? And now when such a development happens, what would be in, what next?
Well, Preeti, first of all, I couldn't listen to Mr. Aneja's intervention there properly, but I did catch a gist of it where he referred to a red line.
Yes.
Now, if you ask me, Israel has crossed two red lines in less than 24 hours. One, the US told Israel very clearly, do not bomb Beirut, which they did, to take out a Hezbollah commander in Lebanon, in the capital Beirut. And just a few hours ago, we have just been, as we've been reporting here, they've assassinated, targeted killing of Haniyeh in Iran's capital, Tehran. So clearly, all eyes are on how Iran will, respond from here going forward. As Mr. Aneja was pointing out, Iran can be expected to retaliate at a place and time of its choosing. We don't know how, we don't know where, we don't know when, but rest assured that Iran will most likely retaliate. And that, to my mind, raises the larger question of where does the West Asia tensions go from here? What are India's stakes in the region, and how will the region and the world react at large to developments there? And just to put this in context for our viewers, Preeti, as you were mentioning, this is not the first time Iran has been targeted by Israel. As you mentioned, the Iranian nuclear scientist Mohsen Fakhrizadeh was taken out by an Israeli strike a few years ago. It's a number of attempts targeting the nuclear installations in Iran. So clearly this could be seen as a part of a larger game plan playing itself out between Israel and Iran, which is seen as its existential threat. And its stated goal was to eradicate Hamas, and that is exactly what they are doing as we speak, taking out its top military and political leadership. And it comes just a few days, as I mentioned, Preeti, after they conducted a raid in southern Gaza to attempt to take out Yahya Sinwar, the military head of Gaza, Hamas's operations in Gaza, which they failed, but yet they come very close to capturing him alive. So clearly this is part of a larger scheme of things playing itself out between Israel and Iran.
All right, sir. I'll take that. Ramesh, I'll take that forward to Mr. Atul Aneja. Sir, Ramesh has talked of how is, or for that matter, how is Israel positioned at this point in time? I would ask you, because Ramesh is talking of how Israel crossed two lines, Lebanon, and now the attack in Iran. At the same time, it vouched of, wiping away Hamas altogether. At the same time, he's facing Hezbollah as well. So what do you make of this, if I may call, a phoenix-like rise of Israel, at the same time tackling, multipolar challenges at the same time? This also comes at a time when Benjamin Netanyahu has just returned from the US. Put all this together, how is Israel positioned? Because that is very centric to the West Asia conflict at present.
To be honest, Preeti, Israel is playing by its old playbook. I think the rules really changed on October 7th, when 1,500 Israelis were killed by this terror attack by the Hamas. I mean, that is something which was unprecedented. So a new cycle has begun following October 7th. Now, Israel has assassinated a number of Palestinians earlier. They assassinated Sheikh Yassin, the founder of Hamas. Then Abdulaziz Rantisi, who followed Sheikh Yassin, he was killed. And then now Haniyeh is killed. But you see, one lesson, if you look at it very objectively, it's not something which buys them time, but Hamas comes back even stronger than before. So despite this assassination, I don't think that this is going to, in the long term, going to impact the Hamas. In fact, you can argue it that Haniyeh becomes another martyr if you look from a Hamas's perspective. And with Iran now, Iran was not what it used to be when, let's say, 2006, Israel's attack on Lebanon, Hezbollah. It's a much stronger country. It is much less isolated than before. It has become part of major organizations like SCO and BRICS, etc. So it's a different Iran, and Iran has strengthened itself over time. We didn't have the Houthi factor, let's say, in 2006. We have that right at the mouth of the Suez Canal, a force projection capability. So in the sense that while Israel seems to be playing the old playbook, I think there is going to be a bigger retaliation coming from Iran. And it's going to impact the entire region, including India, because this is the area from which oil supplies. Global energy security is determined by that. Trade routes pass through this area. So I think the bigger impact is coming. I would not be surprised that after this, the stock markets react, the oil prices get impacted, because now it's not what it used to be 10 years ago. The retaliatory capacity has increased. To what extent, we will see. In fact, it's a test for Iran itself, whether it can impactfully retaliate to this. If it can't, it will probably prod the Hezbollah to do more from the northern side. I would be watching northern Israel-Lebanon border more intensely after this happens. And how is Israel going to respond to that? You see, now the rules have changed, as I said in the beginning. If you kill Haniyeh, then, Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, I think there's going to be some discussion going on in a very serious way inside the Hezbollah right now after this. So various kinds of, first they're going to absorb the strike. But I think sooner than later, there will be a way they would have to retaliate. Otherwise, the asymmetry comes back again, that Israel, yes, despite everything, is the strongest power, both military and otherwise diplomatically.
Right.
And the situation has not materially changed. So we will see. There's a lot of balls in the air right now, Preeti, and many possibilities.
Yes, so we'll have to wait.
Really in Iran's court now.
Right. All right, so we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with that analysis and those details. Thank you for joining us on DD India News Hour. All right, Ramesh, we were talking of the fallout of the consequences which this will have on the West Asia conflict. Now, talking of Haniyeh, the way he had a short stint as the Prime Minister of the Palestinian Authority, and then he headed Hamas. What next for Hamas here? Because, assassination of a leader will not bring in a vacuum. Somebody will take his place there. But then Hamas has vowed to take revenge of this killing, and they will come back with all the more force, as what Sir also, analyzed and predicted for us. What do you make of the talks, of the hostage crisis and the talks ahead?
Indeed, Preeti. Just to put it very quickly for our viewers, one, Hamas might be down, but not out. As you correctly said, Hamas has claimed that it will outlast this setback to it in the form of assassination of its political head, Ismail Haniyeh, in Iran. The other point, Preeti, I should quickly mention is that, as Ms. Haniyeh was pointing out, that India's interests are vast in the region in terms of energy supplies, Indian diaspora living and working in West Asia. And to my mind, I'll leave this seed of thought in our viewers' heads as well and minds, that look, India has good ties with all countries in the region, be it the Arab world, be it Iran, be it Israel. And when we talk about multi-alignment, India's stakes in the region in the context of peace building, there's a good chance India might want to play a role here as well, given its good ties, as I mentioned, with all countries in the region and outside as well. Now, that said, this will lead to two more questions which we've been reporting here for the last half an hour and more. How will these assassination affect the ceasefire talks with Hamas and Israel? And two, will it lead to further escalation? But yes, Iran can be expected to retaliate at a time, place, and location of its own choosing. When, how, where, we don't know yet.
All right, Ramesh, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those details and that analysis and explanation. So